2023. Roll call.
Good afternoon, everyone. Roll call. Cameron County,
Present.
Hidalgo County,
Present.
City of Bronzeville,
Present.
City of McAllen, City of Edinburgh,
Present.
City of Mission.
The mayor's here?
Oh, yeah, she's here. Yes, City of Harlingen, City of FAR, Starr County, City of San Benito, Cameron County RMA, Hidalgo County RMA, Valley Metro, TxDOT. We have quorum. I have one more thing. I just wanted to remind everyone, if you guys can speak clearly to your mic so we can transcribe the minutes more clearly. Thank you. And we have quorum. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is there any public comments?
None that we are aware of, Judge.
Mayor, is she here? Want to give her the opportunity? No? All right. We can come back to it. All right. Item 4, consent agenda 1, approval of minutes for the August 30th, 2023 meeting. Any changes or corrections? We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Fuentes. Second by Starr County. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, discussion on the upcoming November 2023 statewide transportation improvement program STIP revision cycle, page 15. And I'm sorry, I was going to announce this at the beginning. I have got to leave at about 2:30, so we're either going to finish this meeting early or you're going to have to finish it without me. So take your pick. All right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman, and good afternoon to all of our board members. So the statewide transportation improvement program is our short-range plan, and it's a statewide plan, so we have to update our projects every quarterly cycle, beginning in February of every year, with May, August, and November, the remaining months of the quarterly cycle. So this will be our last revision cycle to this current short-range plan from fiscal years 23 to 26. So we're already working diligently with the FAR district staff to get our projects in line with project costs and any changes to funding. We've also made an announcement to both our TAC and TPB members back on August the 29th and posted it to our website that we would be conducting public involvement, and any revisions or modifications needed for the projects need to be submitted to staff on October the 6th by the end of the day. So that's the cutoff date so that we can prepare things for our next TAC and Policy Board meeting next month to present a final draft for approval to both committee and to the board. So I'll be happy to address any questions or concerns regarding public involvement, regarding this last revision cycle to this current TIP that we're in, and also any questions regarding administrative modifications or revisions, how those are conducted, if there's any.
All right, Rudy, just so we're clear, that the October 13th deadline, or October 11th?
October 6th for amendments to be submitted.
Okay.
The actual deadline to upload revisions and supporting documentation to the portal has now moved from October 13th to October the 10th. So we're going to keep that October 6th deadline for our planning partners. We think we can manage that to bring it back to TAC and policy and get everything uploaded by the 10th. So we're going to hold on to that deadline. But yes, everything is due on October 10th to the eStip portal.
Anybody have any questions for Rudy or the process?
And to add, Chairman, if I may, later on this afternoon, I'll be sending out everybody a rough draft of our TIP for November. Like I mentioned, been working with the district off of TxDOT Connect, their database, where we have projected estimates and funding changes as necessary, so that everybody can have that copy. And I know it's a bit of a short time frame. It's been a quick turnaround since our last revision cycle, but we're doing our best to get everything corrected as needed and prepared for this last revision cycle so we can move on to creating a new TIP next year.
All right. Anybody have any questions, comments? All right. Thank you,
Thank
Rudy.
you.
Item 3, update on performance management framework project with Alliance Transportation Group.
Sure. Good afternoon, policy members. My name is Miguel Arispe, planner with the RGVMPO. Today I will be just providing a brief update on the performance management framework project that is underway with the Alliance Transportation Group. Currently, we are working on the development of a project prioritization process that will consist of criteria based on federal, state, and regional goals and performance measures. This past Monday, September 25th, we held a virtual workshop where the TAC group, the technical committee, had a chance to provide feedback on the criteria presented, and the ATG group also went through some sample project scoring. There was also a Mentimeter survey presented as another way of gathering feedback on the proposed project prioritization process. The next steps would be to apply changes based on the comments and feedback from the workshop, come back to the technical committee for another meeting based on the changes applied. There are a few more pending deliverables that the ATG group is working on, such as the development of SOPs, methodology on performance reporting, and we will keep the board informed as those become available. This is just an informational item, and if there's any questions on the Performance Management Framework project, I can take those at this time.
Anybody have any questions for Miguel? No? Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you.
Appreciate the update. Item 4, presentation and discussion regarding the transit planning update. Eva.
Good afternoon, members of the Transportation Policy Board. Today I wanted to do something different. Typically I talk about bicycle and pedestrian projects, but we've been working with our transit agencies, and I wanted to give an update on transit planning activities that we've been up to here. And it's the entire RGVMPO, different staff are involved with different pieces. If this looks familiar, it was in the MPO report that we produced, I believe, like last December or earlier this year. But this was something that Fernando and Javier, I think, helped develop to kind of demonstrate that we have 4 transit providers in 3 counties, but we have 1 connected community. And the funds that typically program our transit activities are the ones that you see up here, the Urbanized Area Formula Grants, or 5307, grants for buses and bus facilities, 5339A, and then enhanced mobility of seniors and individuals with disabilities. And we're still learning a lot about the transit funding, and so I think that there's a lot that we can still learn about what's available and how we proceed with using those funds in our region. But typically we do monitor all of our projects through the typical revision cycles that Rudy just presented on. And I believe we have our transit tip ready so far for this revision cycle. But these are typical activities that we see in our Unified Planning Work Program, just to name a few, and Fernando helps us manage that work program overall, but we're looking at data sharing, the preparation of maps, attending meetings, and providing general transportation planning expertise to this area. And how do we do that? We do that through the Regional Transportation Advisory Panel. Mr. Tom Logan and his staff at Valley Metro help facilitate those meetings, so we're lucky to participate. We have 2 staff members who are engaged voting members, and we meet quarterly with them, and then they have subcommittee meetings also to supplement the coordination efforts. And that 5-year coordination plan has a few chapters, but the MPO specifically is called out in goal number 2, which is to provide increased transit alternatives to the people in the region. And objective number 3 here says the MPO will develop a regional map identifying sidewalks, hike and bike trails, bike lanes, and bus routes, bus stops, and shelters. So Miguel is helping us with that mapping activity. We have been having meetings with the transit agencies, including UTRGV, who offers Vaquero Express. We've been meeting with Brownsville Metro, who has really great systems in place so far, and we're, again, learning more and communicating. The quality checking of the existing data, right now we do have some data on the routes, but there's not a lot of information attached to the lines that we have. And so we asked our engaged partners, what attributes or data should be included in the map for bus stops and for bus routes. And so we're continuing to collect that feedback on what people want to see, and we want to put more information on our maps in order to give people better insight into the routes and the services that are provided here for the public. This is the very early version of what that map is going to look like, and so you can see it should show the connectivity. Some of the things we talk about is providing trip planning training for our community, and even as a transportation professional, when you're not familiar with bus stops, routes, or areas in the community, it can be daunting or intimidating to travel alone, not knowing when the service time ends or when that bus will be back to pick you up. So this is just some things that we are talking about in addition to other public transportation efforts. And so I asked Javier to join in this presentation so he could cover the passenger rail study and give another update.
Thank you. So like I said, my name is Javier, and so the good news is that we are soon going to be kicking off the RFP process, I believe Sunday, October 1st, or whatever day October 1st falls on. It'll be taking over, the RFP process has to go over 90 days, and so we will be starting the study come the beginning of January in 2024. In essence, back when it was Hidalgo County Metropolitan Planning Organization, they completed a commuter rail feasibility study that encompassed just the entirety of Hidalgo County, but now that we encompass 3 counties, we want to update that study. We want to look at some of the information that they looked at in this study and kind of broaden the scope now that we encompass other areas. And so they identified in this study where the proposed station locations would be within the county, so then we would have to look at update that. Also, one of the things that they looked at in the study was commuter rail versus light rail. Things have changed, demographic has changed, the economy has changed. We now have a more diverse economy here in the Rio Grande Valley, so would that be the same, and what would the routes be, and where would the stations be? One of the things they also studied was all the existing ag-grade rail crossings, just here in Hidalgo County alone, all those red dots, which kind of looks like a solid line, are all the ag-grade rail crossings that we have along the existing rail. And so they identified I believe at the time it was like between $10 to $17 million per grade separation project, depending on the location. That was in 2011 dollars, so you can only imagine what that costs now in today dollars. And so identifying across the region where we would need to implement grade crossing separation if we were to one day have passenger rail here in the Rio Grande Valley, just because of updated traffic counts and the change between 2011 and now. Okay, so the reason why we want to do this again, so you see here in this map, the 3 shaded areas. The purple one was the Hidalgo County MPO, the blue one was Harlingen-San Benito MPO, and the green one was the Brownsville MPO. And the red outline that we have here today is our current MAB. So you see the difference between where we can complete planning studies compared to then and now. So we want to look at potential ridership, needs assessment, benefit cost analysis, and identify what potential grant opportunities we can go for so that we can make something like this happen. We will be having a subcommittee that will help us with the RFP process and selecting the consultants, not only for this study, but also other studies that were submitted. I believe the Weslaco 509, Weslaco Loop was one of the other studies as well. So there will be 2 different committees that we will have, one for the selection of the consultants to complete this study, and then the other one that will actually help us with the execution of the plan, so to speak. And so just wanted to come here and provide this update. We're very excited. We look forward, and we want to just open the opportunity to anyone who would like to be a part of that committee to help us with either or both, with the selection of the consultants as well as with the completion of development of the study. And so we presented this to TAC, and we also wanted to come here today to you and present this at the policy board meeting.
Javier, real quick.
Yes.
So the 11 proposed locations that the Hidalgo County MPO, and then I guess 4 proposed grade separations, those were all done in the 2010-2011 timeframe, including the 11?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So a lot's happening for public transportation, right? And I know we talk about trade a lot, the border community. So how do we move people and vehicles with our growth? I think this is, public transportation is a factor in that and key to that. And it goes hand in hand with the other efforts that we're doing. Clarissa has presented before on the Complete Streets effort. And so all of this really ties in together. Sometimes it seems like separate dots, but they all connect. And I think something that I talk about is it's very expensive to create complete streets on every street level. We don't often have the right of way. And so transit think of it as an anchor in your complete streets efforts. And some examples that we presented at the MPO 101 was just kind of showing how, there's space here for vehicles, pedestrians, cyclists, and then transit users. That shade, we all know, is very critical here when you're waiting outside. This is an example from Brownsville where they have their Midi-Cultural District. This is permeable concrete, so it's a low-lying area near Weslaco, and that material helps to reduce flooding that neighborhood and even visitors may feel during big storm events. Obviously, ADA accessibility is critical everywhere you go, and you see complete streets again in South Padre Island where people love to be. So that is just kind of the summary of our transit planning that the entire MPO staff is involved with. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them at this time. Yes, please.
Have y'all had any meetings with Bechtel or with the LNG plants? Because they're stating yesterday that they think a large majority of the 5,000 employees that come here to work are actually returning Valley residents that moved off to find these higher paying jobs. So they're going to probably be scattered all over the valley. And I asked them about how are they going to park 5,000 cars on that site, and they're not going to be able to do that. So I think there might even be some money from them for you to put together some transit plans for them.
I think that's a great point. The single occupancy vehicle can be a big problem, especially when developing in, job sites. So I know Mr. Cannon is involved with some of those meetings or conversations, and I'll let him speak to what's discussed
Yes,
there.
good question, Frank. I serve on a transportation subcommittee with those guys. Pete and I have been in some meetings together, working with them, and I think there's another one coming up on October 4th that we have. So we are looking at that. We did talk about carpool, van pooling. Apparently there were some legal issues that they brought up that they've had previously with staff about having van pools, so that didn't seem very receptive, but it's something we're talking about, and to try to drum up more business for the RMA. I told them I thought they should think the way of like DART does with many of the employers in North Texas, and just make a toll pass as part of their fringe benefit package, so we can make sure to keep traffic off of 100 and away from our mom and pop communities. I don't think they have an understanding that, especially during the holiday periods, how backed up that can be. Put them all on 550, get them to the port directly and directly out. But yes, we are having those conversations and looking at various options to try to address 3,000 to 5,000 employees, not to mention the additional truck traffic that's going to be out there. So we're talking about, I think, aren't you also meeting with them as well? Yeah. So I'm
So
there
you're-
with the heavy hitters.
So you're saying there's a need for a second causeway?
I don't know. That's a good one. Yeah, because it looks like the peak is right around 2027 to 5,000, and then it levels off. So you got
Well, and
you
you're,
got time to work
yeah,
on it.
don't forget about the other one. And the numbers, the estimates that I've been receiving are actually, they're contemplating potential larger numbers than the 5,000. But it's going to be a valley-wide benefit and issue, so.
Yeah, I completely hear your comments. Additional.
Just to add, City of Brownsville was awarded a NAD Bank grant of $180,000 to do a study to extend our bus service out to the port. So the city's working with Bechtel to make sure that we can maximize the use of our transit system to service their project.
And I think that's very helpful, because that's what we're hearing, is that there is an increase in demand or interest for public transportation. And I think with different agencies, there's a lot of different information out there to connect the whole region. And I was surprised. I think I recently learned that Brownsville Metro starts at 6 a.m. I thought they started at 8 a.m. And so I think there's a lot to learn and more information that we could, as an MPO, gather that information and share it. But I completely agree. The growth is, I do not want to sit in traffic when I commute to and from. So let's see what we can do about reducing the single occupancy vehicles. Sorry.
Yeah, one more comment. If you all are from the Upper Valley and you're going to the island, all you got to do is turn right there on the road back to Brownsville and go about 3 miles, and you're not going to believe what you see right now. There's like, 100 cranes out there, 200 bulldozers, dump trucks, those big kind for mines all over the place. You're just not going to believe this site after you see it.
In this study, will you be looking at abandoned railways for alternative mobility options?
I'll let Javier speak to that.
Yes, so right now the rail that are abandoned is north of Edinburgh. If there are other abandoned rail lines, we will take a look at that. Also, just because of Rio Valley Switching Company has a 100-year lease with Union Pacific, and I believe they're into year 30 with that lease. And so we know it's difficult to bring the railroad to the table, so to speak. And so one thing that we learned recently that we can, a weapon we can add to our repertoire, so to speak, is the quiet zone funding. City of Houston utilizes that to kind of bring the railroad. So that's with the Federal Railroad Administration. And so we'll also be looking at all the existing, I forgot to mention this earlier, I'm sorry, all the existing bills that have been passed recently with the Commuter Rail District and the RTA bill that was authored in 2019 by Armando Martinez and signed by the governor. We also want to look at with the current bill that was signed in 2019, it gave away with the commuter rail district. So we wouldn't have essentially a commuter rail district operate the RTA. And so we kind of want to dive into all the legislation bill and be able to provide like a quick note, a quick sheet of those bills for you guys as well.
Because we're looking at an option there in the Delta area, the Ed Couch, Elsa La Via area, that railroad there. They were looking at it as a potential hike and bike area. So you might want to just contemplate that in your,
That east-west
Study.
corridor doesn't connect all the way through, but yeah, it does partially, yeah.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you all so much for your comments and questions. Again, I think looking at the fares structure and the fees that are charged, again, we're just learning or bringing all that information together for transit. So maybe we'll be providing annual updates on some transit planning activity, in addition to obviously, hopefully, a future subcommittee on the passenger rail study. So if there are no further questions, we can move on to.
Thank you,
That's
Eva.
everything.
Thank you, Javier. Item 5, discussion and possible action regarding FY 2019-2020 and FY 2021-2022 transportation alternative set-asides TASA projects.
Right. This is just, I think, maybe one of the last updates. There's two, every 2 years we do another call for projects, and so we kind of group our projects to obligate funds on time. This is no new information to you. What I want to present today is that we have successfully obligated, or at least submitted, our FPAE request for all of our TASA projects. So I really want to congratulate the whole team. I know it was a challenge for the consultants, the cities, TxDOT, and I think that there's still some things that I want to share, because it doesn't end at the obligation of funds. So what you see in this slide are when the projects have received their FPAA, and again, that's the Federal Project Authorization and Agreement, and that commits the funds to the project. Those have all been received, but you can see you still have to go through the reimbursement phase, and so the release to advertise and the bid opening are the next steps that kind of transition the project from obligation to reimbursement, or from planning to construction, if you want to think of it that way. And something that I wanted to point out too, you can see the top project is the Hidalgo County Mobility Plan. If you'll notice there, the FPAA was approved after the release to advertise and the bid opening, and it's the only project that's like that because it's the only planning project. So the process for planning projects is different than the project for the process for construction projects. So I just wanted to highlight that. These are just some differences, some nuances, but I wanted the board members to kind of see, what comes next after we obligate the funds. And it really doesn't end after the bid opening. The teams will continue to work through the projects until completion. What else do I have here? All right, so the next group of projects is the fiscal year 21 and 2022. These projects so far should have already received the AFA for all of them. And if I'm not mistaken, West Rail Trail did receive their AFA. I forgot to make the correction on the slide, my bad. And I think Port Isabel's is on its way as well to the city. But most of these projects have also had their kickoff meetings, and we've been having more thorough meetings, setting the expectations early about milestones and project schedules. So I think the communication is going really well with all parties involved. And that is the brief update I have on these projects. Please.
Any questions?
I just had a question.
Go ahead, Mayor.
What's the timeline on the completion of these real quick, 21, 22?
Right, so the timeline for anyone who, for any project that has funding from fiscal year 21 and 22, they can obligate in fiscal year 24 or fiscal year 25. Now, we need some projects to obligate in early 24 because it's 2 years, and so we have 3 planning projects and 3 construction projects. So I'm hoping we can proceed with obligating some in 2024. But the final ready to let date to submit the FPAA request would be August of 25. That's the final. We encouraged before. We don't want to wait till the last minute. It was very stressful, I think, for all involved. But they have time, and technically the funds lapse in fiscal year 20. Thank you.
And the recommendation is to approve at this point?
Yes, at this point it is. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, is there a motion?
So move.
Motion, I'm sorry, San Benito?
Second.
Second by Edinburgh. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 6, consideration and action to approve resolution 2023-19 programming FY 2023, 2024 Transportation Alternative Set Aside TASA funds. All right, can I believe staff is recommending we table this item at this point?
At this point, we're recommending to come back in October.
All right.
Table it for
Do I
now.
have a motion to table? Motion by Mission, second by Starr County. All in favor? All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 7, discussion on annual RGV thoroughfare right-of-way plan amendment process. Luis.
I'm just going to go ahead and cover the slide with the timeline in the sake of time. The rest of the slides with the process and information are included in the packet. But we did have our kickoff meeting on August 28th to kick off the process, the annual process of amending our thoroughfare plan, which is our right-of-way for the entire region. On October 9th, we're going to go ahead and touch base again with all local governments to see how the processes are going or any assistance that may be needed. December 21st is the important one because that's the deadline to submit any amendments to the RGVMPO for this yearly process. And we'll be doing this again in August. So once they're received in February, we'll be bringing all the amendments that we received back to TAC and policy for approval. Upon approval, we'll go ahead and take them in March to county commissioners' courts for final approval. And at that point, in April, is when we'll reflect all the amendments on our UMAP, which is our interactive map online. And in August of 2024, we'll be kicking this all off again to do this process again, since it is yearly. If there are any questions on the process, I could take them at this time.
Any questions? Okay.
Alrighty, thank you.
All right, that was informational. Thank you, Luis. Item 8, discussion and interactive SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats analysis from the RGVMPO staff. Javier?
Yes. Hello, it's me again. So we're going to do a little interactive part. I know we normally say, everyone, please stay off your phone, but now we're going to ask everyone to take your phones out. So I did this at the Technical Advisory Committee, and I'm coming here to policy as promised. Unfortunately, we did not have the time to do this at the MPO 101 because time ran out. So we do apologize, but we did promise that we would be coming to you today. I'm going to go ahead and start the Mentimeter presentation. We did this at the Technical Advisory Committee, and we got a lot of great feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and you go to menti.com, and please, the code is up there on the screen, but I'll go ahead and click next. Can you click next on the screen or no? Sorry. Sorry about that. Well, there's a QR code, and the code is 8165-3256. That was the one from tax. We have to create a different Menti. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Just a second. Okay. Just wait for everyone to start joining. I'll go over to the other computer real quick. I'll be right back.
So you need 12 answers on each question.
Is it different than yours or what?
Just try menti.com.
No, it's, yeah.
You're going to do it until we get 12
No,
answers.
we're not.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead.
Go
This
ahead.
is okay. Great. Now we can proceed. It popped up this time. Second time's a charm. All right. So here we're going to be asking you guys just 4 quick questions. We want your honest feedback. We're going to be coming back next month and provide a compare between the Technical Advisory Committee and the Policy Board. And we want to hear you guys. What do you think our strengths are as an MPO, as a region, or a transportation network? And I believe you can submit up to 3 responses. See, regionalism, diversity. So good focus on representation and unity. Awesome, thank you. I believe we already have the 21 responses. They're still coming in, 30 responses already. More transparent. Adjacent to Mexico, we hear that there's a big movement with the nearshoring and all that, so that's pretty cool. Okay. Now, for the sake of time, I think we've got the responses. We're going to go ahead and move forward to the next question. What do you think some of our weaknesses are? What are some of the things that we might need to address in the future? Marketing the region. For marketing the region, we are kind of working and reaching out to some of the cities where we have our offices located in, such as Edinburgh and Brownsville, seeing if there's any way that we can work with their media department to come out with some videos for public involvement. We've also shared the new software that Fern and some of us have been using in the office for project illustrations for public involvement as well.
I want to know who said that one. Andrew, did you write that one?
Which one, sir?
Long meetings?
No, sir.
They know who put what, so.
Thank you, Mayor.
Which I find counter to the one that says meetings are too quick.
For lack of funding, we're also looking at grant opportunities and working and seeing which ways we can leverage our resources at the MPO. Okay. Give it another second. I think we can move over to the next one, unless I think I see a couple people still typing. Okay.
Lack of counseling.
Perfect. Now on to the next one. And the SWOT analysis, the next letter is O for what are our opportunities. What do you think are some of our biggest areas of opportunities, things that we might be missing out on, things that we could really utilize, things that make us unique here in the region that we need to highlight? We see the causeway, population growth, rail transit. That's one. It's a favorite project of mine.
Javier, you're not helping me on the long meeting one.
I'm sorry.
Good.
We'll move on to the next one. We already got 47 responses. And last but definitely not least, what do you think are our threats? What do you think really hinder us, or what do you think could impact us? It could be resiliency, it could be flooding, it could be anything that comes to your mind. Right away, the economy, utilities, flooding. That reminds us, the resiliency and sustainability analysis is coming to a conclusion. We will be providing a final presentation to you all at the December Policy Board meeting, and that's coming along greatly. We've had great cooperation and input from our Technical Advisory Committee, so we look forward to sharing that with you in December.
All right. Any questions?
Nope.
All right.
Great. So then this is the end, and then I just wanted to end it off by saying that we will be comparing what we gathered at the Technical Advisory Committee, and then bringing it to you and sharing it with what you provided with us today. And thank you for indulging us here, and we appreciate it. And, okay, cool. And I think we can move it back to the other piece of the screen. All right.
Thank you, Javier. Item 5, RGVMPO Executive Director's Report and Updates. Mr. Cannon.
For the sake of time, all I have is the budget. We're 81% expended. We should be 95. We're going to finish right on target, and it'll be my 20th budget that we've gone without ever being over budget. So.
Excellent. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Item 6, Status Report. TxDOT Project Status Report.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clemente Mena. I'll be starting off with the FAR area office, which is basically the Hidalgo County portion, and then each presenter will present the next one. First of all, we're starting off here with the
Good afternoon, Policy Board members. My name is Jose Rodriguez. I'm a project manager, transportation engineer for TxDOT. What you have here on your slide is FM 508 in Cameron County, from the city of Combs to the city of Rio Hondo. This is a 9-mile stretch of rural highway that we're looking at rehabilitating the pavement structure. However, there are a few key point areas within the project, key intersections that we're looking at improving safety and mobility for the traveling public. Specifically FM 907, where we're including a left turn lane for westbound traffic, and the intersection with FM 106, where we're improving the line of sight and the curve radius for that odd-looking intersection for those of you that may be familiar with this intersection. So at this intersection with FM 106, we are looking at acquiring some right-of-way so that we can make those safety improvements and mobility improvements. We're looking at approximately 4 parcels of property that we're looking at acquiring for right-of-way purposes. Our project is currently in progress with the environmental assessment of the project. Like I said, right-of-way is in progress. Our utility consultant is working together closely with utility owners out there to get us to a point where we have a utility certification clearance in place before construction can actually begin. We are looking at a July 2026 letting for this project. We're currently at 30% PS&E completed, and we're working on 60% PS&E completion. On to FM 907. If I can get this thing to, how do we do? Oh, there we go. Sorry. Okay, FM 907 is very similar in nature to FM 508. This is a 2.5-mile stretch of highway, rural highway, from the southern edge of City of Alamo to FM 3072, which is Dicker Road. Again, this is a project that we're looking at key points and in the project site that we're improving safety for the traveling public and the mobility of the traveling public. There's a 1-mile stretch of highway that traverses through the floodway we are looking at making some line of sight improvements on, as that south levee. Some of you may be aware that some of our levee on some of those other highways, you come up to the levee and the line of sight is so, I guess, short and not enough. So we're making some of those improvements to the line of sight. Again, like in FM 508, this project, our environmental office is working closely with myself so that we can get this project cleared. Right-of-way is in progress. We're looking at acquiring 4 parcels to make that line of sight improvement along, or actually adjacent to the levee. Utilities is in progress. We have our utilities consultant working closely with the utility owners so that they can get that certification clearance letters in place prior to construction. On this one, we're 95% complete on the PS&E packet, and letting is scheduled to be completed, or actually letting is scheduled for January 27.
Any questions? All right.
Just
Go ahead,
a comment, if I may. Obviously, these projects are scheduled for 26 and 27. At TxDOT, what we're trying to do is expedite and accelerate as much as possible. So these are
You
just.
said this last one, was it 90%?
95%, yeah,
95,
90,
so, and you
95%.
said 26, so yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
like.
so the whole goal here, once the project is shovel-ready, we're gonna put it on the ready-to-let rack and stack. Many of you have heard that term before. If the project's selected, we will obviously accelerate. We ask that local governments do the same thing with Category 7 projects. We need to obligate funds, and we need to expend these funds, folks. That is a challenge. I understand some of these challenges are on our plate, where AFAs and what have you. We need to continue to communicate, to work together, to deliver the projects. Right now, there's a lot of eyes on RGVMPO CAT 7 dollars not being spent. And so we ask for your help on that. If me and my staff can be of any help, please let us know.
Hit the nail on the head. We've got to do that. We're going to lose out if we don't start practicing what we're supposed to be preaching.
Any other
Go ahead.
questions, comments?
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll continue with the construction aspect of our projects. The first one is FM 676, also known as Mile 5. This one stretches from State Highway 384, which is Lahoma, all the way to State Highway 107, or otherwise known as Conway. This project consists of a rehabilitation and widening of existing roadway, and the contractor is Texas Cordy Construction, and currently they're 5% complete on that project with the estimated completion date of February 2025. Oops, there we go. Okay. So on the first picture here, we can see where the contractor actually completed the south side, temporary south side of the roadway here, to shift traffic to the south 2 lanes there, so that they can travel east and westbound. And from that picture on the next one, we can see where they started milling the north side of the road to start the reconstruction process, the utility removals, and coordination between different entities so that we could all get the project completed. So now they're working on the north side, and that's going fairly well. On FM 492, also known as Goodwin Road in Palmview, Texas, we have a bridge reconstruction project there. We demolished the existing bridge at the irrigation canal, and we are now reconstructing the new bridge. The contractor is 75% complete as of last month. This month, they've done a lot more progress, and that project is actually progressing really well. Here in the next picture, you can see where they have already built the bridge, and they are currently constructing the approaches to the bridge. So that should be finished here within a couple of weeks. Now we'll go to Ms. Yahaira with the next project.
Hi, good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Yahaira Marroquin, and I'm just here to present to you guys a project we have on the Seminator area office. It's SH 100 with the limits of Mesquite Street to 577 feet east of Evans Street. The scope of the work for this project is the rehab of the existing roadway And as you guys can see, this project is 93% complete with the contractor Earthwork Enterprises. It is expected to be completed this month, October 2023. And this is a picture of the project as it is right now with the striping and the overlay completed. The only thing that's lacking is some minor drainage work that they're doing at the moment, but this project should be completed this month.
So SH 100 Los Fresnos should be done next month, or this
This upcoming month,
upcoming month.
October 2023.
and there's not an additional part to it?
No.
Okay. I got a call from somebody complaining. I said, so I think we're almost done, but okay. All right.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
You guys have any questions?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me take this opportunity real quick before we move on to recognize a guest. So we have our state representative, Janie Lopez. Rep, welcome. Would you like to say a few words?
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I know that y'all have been doing a lot of great things with the MPO, and I'm just here to learn a little bit more about how I myself can help at the state level as well. And thank you for TechStop for all the work that's been done here in the valley. We definitely needed to improve a lot of these roads, so very appreciative of how the state is really working down here in South Texas with you all and you and the team.
Thank you, Rep. We appreciate you joining us here today. All right. Cameron County RMA, I believe. Yes. Eric.
While they're walking up, thank you for your representation with the Water Development Board a couple weeks ago. Having your representation and having them come down to our area to highlight the projects that are in high demand, not just for drainage, but now for roadways. We appreciate your representation.
Good afternoon. So we'll move quickly along into status update for Veterans Bridge. I think we're skipping forward a little bit too quickly.
I did that.
Oh. Challenge accepted. I'll do the speed run version. We're about 50% complete on expenditures and time. This project had a change order number 5, which was executed just this month actually, which extends the contract by up to 466 days. So the new completion date is April of 2024. As you can see on the progress pictures, there's a lot of activity in the head house. Secondary inspection is fairly complete. We actually just finished the POV lane expansion. All the pours have been done as of this week, and primary inspection is going to get poured sometime next week. Change order 5 was primarily due to requirements from our friends over at the federal agencies, which are going to be operating a significant investment of technology and of personnel to bring this into 24-hour operations. That's just a summary capturing the effort. Overall, and in summary, the local participation for this project is pretty much being matched at like a 9-to-1 ratio. So it's a pretty good local participation versus federal and state when you figure in all the Category 7 funding that went into this project, in addition to additional federal investments. Gap 2, we continue to work through final phases of environmental clearance for this. We did meet with Union Pacific last month, and so we should have our Exhibit A approved for that in pretty short order. Project is shovel ready, just pending some final guidance on Waters of the U.S. reports that we have to basically resubmit per the new guidance, and we should be able to bring this one into the Rackham and Stackham category, as Mr. Alvarez alluded to earlier. East Loop, we are picking up coordination with IBWC. We've already made formal submittals for levee relocation. We're also circling back with CBP so we can get the border wall relocated in that area adjacent to the levee, and environmental is still ongoing. Flor de Mayo, we have a consultant selection out for this already. Actually, it's been selected. We're just going to go into actual scoping. Free Trade Bridge, the DAP agreement has been executed on this, and so this is construction imminent. So within the next month, maybe 2, we'll be putting this out for bids. Morrison Road, we're continuing to work with MPO staff on functionally classifying this project. Old Alice Road, again, this one, we do have a partial TASO award, I guess, which will be taken up next month, but we continue to work on getting this project shovel ready. The environmental clearance, Waters of the U.S. being a common theme to several projects that are near the finish line for environmental. This one's no different. And the other aspect of this is the design is done and utilities are currently relocating. FM 509 extension, similarly, we're waiting for functional classification on this project, but we are doing preliminary engineering work that is actively going on. Dana Road, we've actually submitted our schematic and several tech reports over to TxDOT, so this one's actually already in the pipeline for reviews of technical reports. We also have we're trickling in our environmental documents as well, about two at a time per month, and so we got documents in the pipeline for this as well. North Williams Road, we continue to develop this project locally. In SPI Second Access, we're working with TxDOT to circle back with US Fish to move forward with technically preferred alternatives that are outlined in the EIS. Harlingen Rail, we have our Phase 1 agreement submitted back to FRA. We're just waiting their signature. Once we get their signature, we'll engage UP to come down with their consultant to get the preliminary engineering of this work underway. SBC Phase 2, as of the last update we got from TxDOT, is fairly near completion, about 90% plus. And Phase 3, coming at the heels of that, has a consultant selection that's going to be underway here pretty soon. And so we'll be applying some Rider 11B and Cat 7 funding for construction for that. US 281 connector, another project in our sort of short to mid to long range plan, has a procurement underway for consultants. West Boulevard, we're at 95% design, finishing up some environmental items that have come up, some noise wall issues that we have to work into the final plans and some coordination with some developers. But the plan set's pretty nearly complete. Whipple Road, we continue to work on the schematic for that project and getting that reviewed over with TxDOT at this time. And FM 1847 sidewalk project is one of the TASA listed projects that is going to go toward a recommendation for award here in October. So construction imminent on that project. Los Fresnos Hike and Bike Trail, this one is actually a Cat 10 CRP funded project now, but this project has a consultant that's been selected, and we're working through the SPA and PIF with TxDOT on this. Outer Parkway, procurement is underway for consultant selection of this project. This was the subject of a previous environmental assessment, so we are also holding for feedback from TxDOT as to whether that initial EA call still holds, which we feel pretty confident about. Stenger Road sidewalk, another project that is going to be with the angle of going toward a TASA application. Consultant has been selected on this project. It's the subject of an interlocal with San Benito. Primera sidewalk, similarly, this is an interlocal with City of Primera. Also has gone through a consultant selection here in the last month. And the rest is the statuses on US 77 funding plan, which we appreciate TxDOT's commitment to the project in the 2024 UTP. Any questions at this time?
Who was the selected agency for
RRP.
Eric, did you get amendment number 4 on the AFA for Old Alice today?
We did.
Okay.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, thank you, Eric. All right, Hidalgo County, RMA.
I'll be extremely brief, and
thank you.
Get the slide up. Where are we at? All right, as far as development activities, we have the IBTC project is currently in red. After Friday, this will be converting to blue. We're initiating our transition over to the project management of the project, and that'll be going to TxDOT. As far as 365, we have an overview. We're currently 29% and 44% of time, 15% gap. There's not a concern by the contractor. Our time remains the same. We paid out approximately, I believe it was $84 million up to date, and we're on our 19th estimate. And here's some pictures of the action. We go on to the IBTC we covered. We are working in partnership with the MPO, RGVMPO, on getting this section of the southwest toll onto the thoroughfare plan. And as far as the bridge crossings, we have issued year-to-date 34,551 permits. You can see the rationing of the funding there. And we have our annual decline in crossings due to the harvest and international bridge crossings here, with still finishing off with an overall increase of 124 permits for this month at 4,133. Issues or questions, concerns I can entertain at this time? At Jackson, yes, sir. It'll be an overpass at Jackson. We're starting the archaeological sites in the area. We have 2 on each side, so you'll see that being cleared hopefully next month.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ramon. All right, transit report.
Good afternoon. My name is Simon Ortiz, Transit Manager for Bronzeville Metro. Our ridership numbers are as follow. We are getting back to pre-pandemic levels of 106,000 rides for the month of August. We've been noticing an increase every month. On a paratransit side as well, we've noticed an increase for the month of August. From June to July, we did, rephrase that. From June to July, we did notice an 18% decrease, but then from July to August, 36% increase, so that doubled. The rest of it, that's pretty much the ridership number. The rest of information is in the packet. I'll take any questions, if any.
That, the shelter project, Mayor, will be rebidded. Oh, so the advertising is going to begin, so there's still a ways to go. I mean, before the bids come in.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions for any? All right. Thank you.
Judge, before you move on, if we could go back to 6A real quick, I was just going to ask Pete if he could give us just a 2-minute update on what the expressway construction.
The interchange project?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So real quick update, we are moving forward with the contractor. We are expected to complete what is referred to as direct connector number 1, San Juan to Edinburgh. Obviously, we shut things down, demolished that structure, the old structure. We're already building the new structure. Pushing forward, had to do some major redirection of traffic through that area, but we're expected to complete direct connector number 1 by the end of December. That is our goal. As far as the full completion, that's going to probably happen in February of 2024. So you're going to see some major improvements happening in a short time frame here in the next couple of months.
Thank you, Pete. All right. Item 7, any other business, old or new? If not, our next meeting is October the 25th, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. 2 minutes to spare. Thank you. We stand adjourned. Good to have you back, Commissioner.